The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
The Avengers Initiative, Hawkeye.
Welcome to the Avengers Initiative Hawkeye, a PapiChuloRadio.com original series, Papi Chulo Radio, celebrating a decade of podcasting excellence. Today is Tuesday, November 30th, 2021, and I'm your host, Jeffrey Aruz. During this podcast, we'll be having an in-depth discussion on Disney Plus's Hawkeye. Please welcome my co-hosts, Professor X.
Bro.
And Priscilla Rocha.
Can you sign my boat, bro?
All right. Fantastic. Let's jump into our discussion of Season 1, Episode 2, which was titled Hide and Seek, and debuted November 24th, 2021 via Disney+. Here's the official synopsis of the episode. Clint has to help Kate disentangle herself from the tracksuit mafia and a real-life murder mystery. Dun, dun, dun. All right, let's talk about this. We pick up exactly where things left off in the previous episode. So I'm actually kind of glad Disney Plus released both episodes on premiere night. So the first question that I want to ask both of you is about the Kate Bishop, Clint Barton dynamic, because that was the episode. Pretty much. I mean, it was Kate and Clint interacting, Kate really wanting to interact, and Clint not so much. Professor, talk about Kate and Clint together.
Oh, they are just fantastic. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's a series of Looney Tunes cartoons where there's like the big bulldog and the little dog who's always jumping up and down. That's the dynamic that they have. Kate is just totally, and it's not crushing, it's not romantic. It is, she's meeting her hero. She's meeting the guy who inspired her to want to do this. She's meeting an actual Avenger. And for her, it's a bit like, celebrities sometimes say that, celebrities who are good with the public realize that for us, this is the biggest day of your life that you're meeting this celebrity. For them, it's just another day. And so for her, this is like, oh my God, this is so cool. Whereas he is all about the mission, which is got to get that costume, and everything just, keeps spiraling out of control. But even as they're walking down the street and she's, are you doing tactical recon, and, their exchanges like that. And he is, keeping it to an absolute minimum. He's all business and she's all, the excitement of meeting a real live Avenger. I love their dynamic. It is so, so good.
It was magical. Priscilla, would you co-sign that? Or what'd you think of Clint and Kate together?
I thought it was cute. I thought it was adorable that she was so eager, beaver, and just like, hey, love me, like, please tell me things, inspire me, like,
notice me, senpai.
Me.
Senpai, notice me.
Huh?
The senpai, notice me.
Yes, it's very much senpai notice me. And Clint Barton is just very much like, brush shoulders off, like insignificant dust on me. Like, this is not much of anything for me. This is just another day. Like, it's nothing to him. She's annoying almost, especially I got the feeling that she was annoying, especially when he was cleaning her wound, like that he's like, God dang it, like you can't do anything right.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that is a good point. Yes, I enjoyed Kate and Clint together. It was fantastic. I mean, her excitement over him and his total like, this is just a job. I just need that damn outfit and then I'm gone. Like, the vibes were so opposites that it was just fantastic to see them together. Let's continue on with Clint with his journey to get the Ronin costume back. Like, okay, so I mean, there are a couple things that end up happening that are, I should actually say, that's important. Number one, Armand the Third's death is kind of being attached to the Ronin. So there's that. Kate's apartment gets burnt down by the tracksuit mafia. There's that as well. We'll talk about the fight sequences in a moment. And so when Clint goes back to her apartment to get the Ronin outfit, it's not there. And so a simple social media search shows that one of the firefighters ended up taking it, and he's using it at a LARP event, LARP, which stands for Live Action Role Playing Game. Can I just tell you, I didn't know this existed. Like, I've been to a Renaissance festival, and I know that people really get into that kind of stuff, you know, with that, but I had no idea that LARP type of stuff happens in the
Do you
world.
know live action role playing existed?
No!
It's been in like the that nerd show.
Shout out to the Nerd Show.
I forgot what the heck it was called.
Not the Nerd Show. Um, Big Bang Theory?
Big Bang Theory. Yes.
Okay, I've never seen Big Bang. Sorry. I'm not about that life. But no, I did not know this existed.
I'd just like to point out that people who are doing a podcast about a TV show are calling something else nerdy.
I know, right?
I have the kettle for you on line one.
Yeah, well, you know. So, yeah, so I had no idea this existed, and this was fascinating to me. It was a new world for me. Like, you got to sign, like, little sheets and register, and you got to commit to the game and all this kind of stuff. And Hawkeye had to commit to the bits, and he was really not down to commit for anything. He just really wanted the suit back because it's Christmas, my people, and he has sent his children home to his wife, and he just wants to make the gingerbread houses, and he wants to watch the Christmas movie marathons, and he wants to trim the tree, people. Can he just get the fucking suit back? But no, he has to do the LARP. So let's talk about Clint's journey with getting the Ronin outfit back and having to commit to the bit. Priscilla?
Oh my god. Are we talking about the live action role playing?
Yes.
Oh my god. At first I felt bad for Clint because at the very beginning he's like, do I really have to do this? And he had to get into the suit. He had to have like, what was it, 2 HP? 1 HP? Like, he was basically like a little nothing in the midst of that world. But he went in and with that little rubber sword, and he was taking out people left and right with his Ronin skills, and just wow. You could tell that this is an Avenger in a world where there's just a bunch of nerdlings around you trying to use their rubber swords to take you out, but they're not going to because you're obviously outclassing them. And oh my god, it was hilarious when he finally gets to Grills, and Grills is like, let me kill you! Let me kill you! And he's like, I'll give it to you if you just let me win. He's like, I killed Thanos! Are you really gonna make me die? But yeah, and he had to die in the most embarrassing way possible in front of a group of a bunch of people holding up their cell phones and looking at him while he had to mooch up the scene and make it look real. And I'm saying it real in quotations here because it's never gonna look too real. But yeah, it was hilarious. I loved it.
He had to die in front of a bunch of nerds.
Yup.
Yeah. Can I just say the amount of restraint that he had to have, because nobody got hurt. Like, nobody got really hurt. I mean, everybody was dying, but it's all, fake role-playing shit. But nobody got really hurt. Like, he could have hurt those people, but he didn't. Like, he held back. He played the game up until the end, even though he really didn't want to. So I gotta give him props for committing to it. Professor, everything LARP. And Grills, what'd you think of Hawkeye jumping into the world of live action role playing?
This scene was the equivalent of Rogers the Musical in that it was over the top, absolutely crazy, and perfect. Everything about this was great. When, he first comes over and, we're seeing the scene from over his shoulder and you just see his head slump. Oh God, what am I going to have to do here? He runs into the woman who won't let him go past and, she basically, thwarts him. She, even with her superpowers, the power of bureaucracy is something that you can't overcome. Love the slow motion of him going through it, almost shooting it like it's an actual fight scene. But, and his expression all the way through it is just the sheer pain and misery of why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do this? He meets Grills and says, look, here's how it's going to go down. I can either fake stab you with a fake sword or I can punch you for real and I can take that costume off you. Grills says, let me kill you. They fight in the circle. He refuses the potion and everyone reacts, oh, he refused the potion. They start fighting and there's a guy in the crowd going ching, ching every time their blades touch. Oh, yes. God. And then he finally, he gets killed. And then, what does the crowd start shouting? Burn the corpse, burn the corpse. But then, and I was a little afraid that Grills was going to try to keep the costume or something like that. But then Grills just says, hey, man, you did this for me, that you did me a solid. And, it would be great if Grills somehow came back and, was able to help him out, in a future scene, if there's a fire or something like that, sort of Clint getting some good karma for that experience. And just it was so pitch perfect done. And again, just the weary resignation of Hawkeye being stuck in this situation. As he said, I fought Thanos, he's being stymied by role players. But I mean, he does get the suit in the end. So, playing along, doing things, their way ended up being the right call to make. But boy, I loved everything about this scene. I've watched it twice. I could watch it so many more times. It is just so, so good.
I 100% agree. And I would love Grill's payoff. I would love to see Grills again and do exactly what you said, Professor. Like, I hope that actually ends up happening before the series ends.
And also, there's something, and again, we were talking last episode about, Hawkeye is, he's reluctant. He's, it's a bit like, in the, previously, when, he was, hiding himself as a firefighter, he could have just swaggered in there and said, look, I'm Hawkeye of the Avengers. I need to go in there. And they would have probably parted and let him go in there. He's an Avenger, but he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to draw the attention. He doesn't want to, make the big deal of himself. And so for him to do it like this, and again, I think there was a little echo of that in what Grills was saying to him, when Grills was thanking him and saying, you don't realize how much of a big deal this is for me, for all of us. That you're here. And, again, it's, I think, again, the idea of, an Avenger as a celebrity, the celebrities, the people like Tom Hanks who always take time out for their fans and stuff like that are the people that are remembered and loved, because, that does become the very, this was as Grill said, the biggest day of his life. He's a firefighter. He saves lives on the reg. But for him, this was his biggest day. And for Clint, to not, for Clint to have someone tell him what it means for him to do that, I think is an important thing. That I think Clint needs to hear more of that if he's going to open up and be a little less grumpy towards the end of the series.
I wonder if that's going to be the character development for Clint over the course of the series. I kind of feel like it has to, just because he's going to be exposed so much to Kate, and Kate seems to have sort of like that plucky optimism. I feel like that has to just rub off a little bit on Clint by the end of the series, because he is very gruff at the start of the series, and clearly he should be gruff. I mean, he's been through a lot, and now he's kind of having to deal with, everything he did as Ronin. It's coming back to bite him in the tuchus. So I feel like that has to be a part of his storyline, like dealing with the Ronin that he had created, as well as maybe lightening up just a little bit, appreciating life as much as Kate does.
Well, there is that scene where he and Kate are walking along, and Kate is basically talking about rebranding him. And he says, I don't need to be rebranded. I'm not selling anything. And Kate says to him, yes, you are. You're selling inspiration. And that's something that I don't think Clint necessarily realizes is, the importance that he has. And again, he could be, when all the other Avengers were around, he could be there in the background. He didn't have to be foreground. He wasn't selling inspiration. When you've got Captain America on your team, he'll sell the inspiration. Thor will sell the inspiration. Iron Man will sell the inspiration. But now he sort of is in a situation where he's not that comfortable. And again, we're being reminded of that. And I don't think it's incidental. Now, does that mean that Hawkeye will be running around in a full purple costume, comics accurate, absolutely stupid headgear that he used to wear? I hope not. But yeah, I do think that's going to be if the arc of this 6 episodes is Kate learning to be a hero, it's going to be Clint's maturation would probably then be, accepting his role as a hero.
Mm-hmm. I like that. We'll have to wait and see.
Or Clint saying, screw this, and, going off to live with his family.
Exactly. Which, I mean, he's done that before, so that wouldn't be that surprising. Let's rewind and talk about the tracksuit mafia attacking Kate's apartment. Kate Bishop! Molotov cocktails for everybody. Let's talk about this. Priscilla, your take on the tracksuits at the apartment.
I love when she inadvertently throws the fire extinguisher and the guy's like, go on, throw another one. It was one of my favorite scenes of the entire episode, besides the LARP scene, which was great. But yeah, I thought that the whole scene with them figuring out where she lives based on the fact that she's got her name plastered on the bottom part of the apartment complex, and she didn't even try and get the tail away from her. She just went into the apartment complex and just buzzed herself in. I was like, this is bad. This is wow, you're not even Batman, you're wanting it anymore. You're just a normal kid getting into trouble with crime. There's no sense of subtlety or cunning there at all. That was just a big blunder. That was a big blunder.
Well, clearly her apartment went up in flames. I mean, that poor apartment. Although for being a rich girl, that wasn't the nicest of apartments. I'm just saying. I'm also saying, she brushed off her apartment going up in flames like it was nothing, too. Oh, okay. Well, that was the rich white people problems.
Yeah, again.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, she has money, so it sort of fits in with the character. So that wasn't that surprising. She has a gorgeous, I have no idea where her mom's home is, Park Avenue or wherever. That place is gorgeous. Good grief, spectacular apartment. She can always go back to that. I don't know if she's going to want to stay there because apparently we're already accusing her mother of doing nefarious shit. But when she's going to be a budding hero, I don't think she should actually live in the villain's lair. But yeah, she does have a gorgeous apartment that she can go back to because that one was kind of a little crummy. I'm just saying, Anyway, Professor, anything to add in regards to the tracksuits mafia and everything that happened with Kate's apartment?
First off, Kate has a fantastic apartment. You guys have no idea what New York real estate costs.
Do you, Professor?
I know a little place like that would cost more than you could possibly imagine.
Oh, okay.
For someone to live on their own, and with it was totally in a funky chic style that's totally to her thing. And remember, she's a student; she's only there for a few months out of the year. So yeah, I think it was intended to indicate that she's sort of Got a very boho sensibility. I love the Tracksuit Mafia because, as I mentioned last episode, they were actually vaguely competent in the last episode. This was the Tracksuit Mafia that we know and we love from the comics. They are just bro, and totally, totally incompetent. Like, just so dumb, and like the lines that they're using with each other, at one point, you were on fire, you were like a shish kebab. It was just great. And as Priscilla said, the scene where, the fire extinguisher comes down and, throw another one. But yeah, no, they're just so clueless. I love the way they played that. And also, just that little, again, the idea of Kate learning to become a hero from, Clint, who's got more experience with these things. So, they're there, the place is on fire, and her reaction is, my place is burning down. What about my stuff? And Clint's reaction is grab the dog and go. That's the only thing that matters. And again, the hero's, attitude is you save people, or in this case, Pete's a dog, and, you come back for the stuff later. But, the important thing is to save who you can save and then, move on to the next problem. So again, just, sort of leading by example. He did that. And then, of course, setting up the, delightful, getting supplies, basically, just going to a bodega and picking up the stuff was great.
Yes, I agree. So much fun. So let's take a quick detour into the serious, because Kate has her suspicions, directed towards Jack, and she tries to talk to her mom about it, but she's like, no, like, what are you talking about? And she ends up challenging Jack to a fencing duel. It's hella intense, I will say. Words are thrown as well. We do see Jack offer Kate at one point a monogrammed butterscotch. Priscilla's keeping her eye on the butterscotches because she thinks those are clues, and I will co-sign with that. Professor, I'll ask you first. Kate and Jack, what did you think of their dynamic throughout the episode? Because we did see them a couple different times leading into the fencing duel.
Yeah, I'm loving their dynamic. I mean, it's obvious that that Jack is being presented as a foil for Kate. Foil, you see what I did there? It's a little fencing joke. But again, I just feel it's like I said last episode. I would not be surprised if he ends up helping her in some way, because it's so obvious that he is an oppositional character. But that said, her opposition towards him, even before she comes to question whether it had anything to do with Armand's death. It's simply that, she's she's going to be her stepfather. She doesn't want that. He is, an intrusion into her life. So it makes perfect sense that she would have this reaction. And as, Jack pointed out, he did read a book about it. So, I'm really loving their dynamic. And I also like the fact that, it's really interesting during the fencing scene where he is, where she scores the hits on him. And it can either be read that, he's trying to ingratiate himself with her by letting her score the points, or he's goading her because he knows how good she is, and he knows that she knows how good he is, or has a sense of how good he is, and that he's basically mocking her. And I got the sense that it was more mocking than anything else. That clearly this guy is good enough with the sword that he doesn't regard Kate as any sort of a threat. It was just, an interesting take on the character, because, prior to this, Jack has been presented as, a bit of an amiable doofus. And here was where we really saw the steel in him. The fact that he could be a very dangerous character if you cross him. So, I really like that. We got some really great character development out of that. And also Kate's sense that, sounding to her mom, look, I proved he was lying. He's a much better swordsman than he thought he was. And her mom going, yeah, so what? Doesn't prove anything. It's kind of that, Kate is in the wrong here. Because as far as we know, until the scene with the butterscotch, Jack really hadn't done anything wrong except, steal the sword and be in that thing. It's more that it's just Kate's mistrust of him that is the problem, rather than things that he has specifically done to warrant that mistrust from her.
Professor, are you as focused on the butterscotch candies as Priscilla is?
It seems a bit obvious to me. I mean, now, and again, we did see but Armand was his uncle. And, I'm an uncle, and if my nieces or my nephew visit me, I might give them a candy. They're not monogrammed. They might just grab a candy out of the bowl. And that doesn't mean that they killed me. So, I mean, I don't think it's obvious that that just because he has a butterscotch in his pocket, it means he killed his uncle.
Okay. He does have the Ronin weapon, though.
Yes, but he could kill him with anything, really.
Okay, with like a candlestick?
Well, no, because he was stabbed. I mean,
Okay.
unless it was a very sharp candlestick.
Well, they do make those, I think. Okay, Priscilla, your take on everything Jack and Kate. Are you still keeping a close eye on the monogrammed butterscotches? Do you enjoy butterscotch? I'll be honest, I'm not that much of a fan.
I like butterscotch. I think it's one of those enjoyable old people candies.
Okay. See, I like the ones that are in the little strawberry wrapper. Those are good.
Those are so good.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that you don't know why, like you don't know where you buy them, but they're just there.
Where do they come from? I feel like they just appear.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, but continue on.
But I know that it seems like an obvious clue, but it's Disney. Disney does obvious clues because people
How
don't
dare
watch
you.
TV smartly. They need obvious clues. So stuff like that matters. I could totally.
But this is Marvel. Marvel loves a misdirect.
Marvel does love a misdirect. Yes, that is. The professor is speaking facts.
That is true.
Hello, Mephisto.
That is regrettably true.
I think Jack just suggested that Jack is Mephisto. Interesting.
Yes, Jack did suggest Jack is Mephisto.
Well, maybe. I'll turn around on the candies for now.
No, but I do feel like you have something with the candies. Like, I would not be surprised if we keep on seeing the candies. I mean, I would love to continue seeing the candies because it's just ridiculous. Monogram butterscotches. But maybe the candies do have something to do with something.
Maybe he did see him before that, like during that night, and took some of the butterscotches in his hand, so that proves that he was there that night. But it doesn't prove that he killed him.
Maybe if Eleanor has a butterscotch.
Yes. So I'm keeping an eye out for that.
Okay. What about the dynamic?
The dynamic between
Kate and Jack.
Between Kate and Jack? Ooh, oh my God. That was weird. That whole fight scene was just, it was her poking at him with the foil, just being like, "Hey, come on. Show me what you got. Come on. Bring out your A game." And he's like, "Ha, you're not even worth it. I'm not even gonna like this. These are two." It's kind of like how it is with Clint in that sense, that both of these men just don't want to mentor, don't want to like show that they've got skills to Kate because they just don't really see that much potential in her.
Ooh, so you're saying we're getting a lesson in misogyny?
Yeah.
All right. Very nice. Okay. I can dig it. I want to rewind for half a second because I was going to ask this when we were talking about the LARP thing and I forgot. But what do we think was if he would have taken the potion? Like, that was something I kid you not. Like, that stuck with me throughout the episode. I was like, I wonder what was going to be in that potion. Super strength or something? I guess nobody.
It was imaginary, so it wouldn't have had any effect on Clint. He wasn't playing along.
I know. But in the live-action role-playing, it counted for something. I wonder if it gave him maybe a couple more ticks of HP or something. Yeah, I don't know. It was funny because the line was spectacular. He's like, oh my God. All right. Speaking of oh my God. So Clint ends up allowing himself to be captured by the tracksuit mafia. Now here's the thing. Kate doesn't know that this is all a part of Clint's plan. This is important because it comes back to bite Clint in the tuchus in a little bit. So he allows himself to be captured by the tracksuit mafia, It seems as if, what I'm gathering based off of their reaction to him, they think he's Ronan. Clearly, we know he's Ronan. Hello. But he's like, oh, you got the wrong guy. You think that's me? And this, that, and the other. Like, there's like a whole bit of dialogue about that. Um, Unfortunately for him and his plan, because it did seem like he actually had a plan, because he easily, uh, removed whatever it was that they were using to tie him to the chair. Uh, Kate shows up and she gets captured herself, which kind of ruins everything. So let's talk about this. We'll talk about the mysterious lady in a moment. But let's talk about how this ends up happening. I mean, if Clint just answered his phone, like, it would have been like, I got it handled. I don't think this would happen. But clearly, we need more of Kate and Clint together, so they had to get captured together. Right, Priscilla?
Of course. Of course. They had to get captured together.
Yes.
Like, they have to show more of a dynamic. They have to grow together. Like, and it's not going to happen unless Kate just shoves herself in situations with him. But I got to admit, it was kind of weird seeing her use that tracking device.
Well, her family bishop security.
No, it wasn't weird that she had that stuff. It was weird that she used it. Like, so off the cuff, like it didn't faze her to use it on somebody that she knew.
Okay,
You know what
you
I mean?
wanted a little bit of struggle, like, oh, should I use this to find him? Should I respect his privacy?
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that. Because, God, like, even in DC, Batman had trouble using the whole Fox Industries thing when he was trying to find Bane, and they wasted a whole bunch of time on that, trying to get him to use it. But with this one, she just did it with a click of a button really quickly.
I mean, you got to use the tools that are at your disposal. I'm just saying, That's how I
true.
know where both of you are right now. I'm just saying.
Ooh.
I know. Shock and awe. Professor, do you have anything to add in regards to the whole capturing type of thing before we talk about the lady?
Well, again, the establishing, just what the tracksuit mafia is like. When they first grab Clint, he has the line, "Guys, I can see through the bag." And it's just, there's the little things reminding us how incompetent they are. And then them getting into discussion about how difficult it is to find a place because, everything is being turned into lofts. And the one guy getting really pissed off because he thinks Clint is dissing their hideout. Again, that's totally what the tracksuit mafia is like in the comics. And I am loving it. I mean, they're dangerous. They're a bunch of lunatics with guns, but they're also really, really dumb and hilarious as a result. I don't mind, Kate immediately jumping. Kate is, wanting to be a hero. She realizes Clint must be in trouble because someone else answered his phone. And she's immediately going to, leap to try to save him. Also because she has this really great, these clues that she wants to share with him. So again, she's being presented as a very impetuous person. And that's pretty consistent for her. And again, part of her development is going to have to be that she's going to have to not be quite so impetuous, I would think, because again, when you're looking for things that are going to piss off, Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye, that sort of impetuous acting without thinking it through, or in this case, not even, necessarily, doing the wrong thing for the right reasons is still, going to piss him off because, I can't believe I have to deal with this. He's very much the tired guy, just, oh God, why do I have to deal with all this nonsense? And to have her crash through, again, a great line. Oh, I didn't realize we were supposed to bring guns. It was really good. And yeah, I agree. with what Priscilla said, though, that you have to get them back together. You have to have these two characters together if they're going to have the character development that we need them to have, over the coming episodes. So it was necessary. Was it a bit forced? Sure. The fact that she would just crash through the skylight right in front of him, yeah, it's forced. It's a bit silly, but, it was hilarious in its own right.
Ain't that the truth? So we meet a mysterious woman who seems to be the boss, the leader, at least, the person in charge of the Tracksuit Mafia. Can I just say she looks way more capable than the Tracksuit Mafia does in totality. We do not know her name based off of the episode because it just kind of ends with her. Based off of casting news and this, that, or the other, we know, at least I'm assuming the three of us know, that she is Maya Lopez, a.k.a. Echo. Now,
Yup.
yes, we did not get much with her, so our next conversation about Echo really will be just theorizing, but we're going to theorize in a Mephisto kind of way right now, because I do want to give a little bit of her backstory as well as the backstory of the Tracksuit Mafia, because there is a connection between these two entities and another character that kind of regally sachets around the MCU.
He doesn't sashay, he lumbers.
He lumbers, well, yeah, but I was going with regal and regal. Well, regal people can lumber as well. But a certain king, that likes to bowl, the pins, is kind of involved with all this. So I'm just saying, I don't know if this is a Mephisto situation. Maybe this could be a Kang situation, because we were like, Kang, 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 and Kang popped up. This is another K word, Kingpin. So maybe he'll pop up. I don't know, but right now it's just a moment. Let's discuss the moment with Maya Lopez. Tiny little moment. Are we excited? And theorizing. Do we think we will see Kingpin? Would any of you like to fill our listeners in on the connection between the Tracksuit Mafia and Echo and Kingpin? Who wants to start first? I guess nobody wants to start first. Okay, Priscilla, there we go.
All I know is that I know she's Echo, and I know that Echo is going to have her own series, and I know that Vincent D'Onofrio, who plays Kingpin, has been tweeting about Hawkeye a lot, and I know that the Kingpin is Echo's adopted dad in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
So putting all of these stuff together, you assume that he's probably gonna maybe have a guest spot on the show, or he's probably gonna have a guest spot on Echo, which is coming up soon. But I'm hoping he has a guest spot on Hawkeye instead.
All right. Vincent D'Onofrio, are you being a Mark Ruffalo? Talking a little too much than you should be? I'm just saying. Maybe not. Maybe it is obvious. So he's like, oh, if it's fucking obvious, let me just start tweeting about it. Professor, your thoughts on the teeny, 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 tiny little moment that we had with Echo? And please feel free to wax poetically about any theories that you might have about anybody in particular.
Well, before I get to Echo, I would like to mention, we're sort of agreed that, the Tracksuit Mafia are, a complete bunch of losers, but there's one guy that they keep, shooting slightly different from the others. He's never wearing a tracksuit. He's wearing an overcoat. He's younger than the rest of them. I think he's got to be significant in some way. He's not just one of the members of the Tracksuit Mafia like the other ones are.
Yes.
So I think we should keep our eye on him, because we saw him in the first episode. We saw him again in this episode. Again, just sort of sitting aside from the others, not behaving like the rest of them. So,
yes,
Echo
I believe his name is Kazi. He's the young looking one. I'm looking at his picture right now. So yeah, we should keep our eyes on him. I agree.
Echo, I really like the actress they've got playing Echo. She has a nice intensity to it. They're playing her as someone who is hearing impaired, which is interesting because of Clint being in the situation because they've just introduced his hearing impairment now, and we saw him doing a little ASL with one of his sons, in the previous episode. So I think that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, would I love to see Vincent D'Onofrio show up? Yes, because that would suddenly mean that all the Netflix Marvel series were now linked to this. I think that would be great. That would
sort
be
of,
awesome
kind
because,
of, but not really, because remember we have variants.
Sorry, what?
I said sort of, kind of, but not really, because remember we have variants. I do remember reading.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the TVA stuff.
Yes, but I do remember reading that if we were to see any of the Netflix stuff, this was like when the whole Daredevil it potentially is going to be on She-Hulk and maybe even in Far From Home. Is that what it's called? Whatever the whole No Way Home, whatever. That if we see some of these Netflix characters again, they're going to be variants. It's not going to be the exact same character that we saw in the Netflix shows. That's what I've read, supposedly.
Well, even if he was a variant, I thought Vincent D'Onofrio played a great Kingpin. And so, if we can get him back, I think that would be fantastic. It's also, again, with the possibility of the Kingpin, there was a throwaway line that Hawkeye had that I can't imagine was thrown in for no reason. I think there's going to have to be a payoff to it, where Hawkeye mentioned that, Tony had sold Avengers Tower a few years back. So who bought it? Who owns Avengers Tower now?
Oh,
Who
my
would have that
Lord.
kind of money?
That's interesting, because a lot of people were thinking someone else whenever I read theories online about it, but Kingpin owning Avengers Tower? That might be kind of interesting. Yeah, that's fascinating. Okay, so Professor, Tracksuit Mafia and Kingpin, are they connected in the comics?
Not directly as far as I remember. I mean, it's been years since I read the comics. I was going to reread them, but I didn't want to have it coloring, my interpretation of this too much. I don't recall because they're very low level, like just losers. And Kingpin, say what you will, is a worthy adversary of like Spider-Man, Daredevil, etc. So, he's not someone who would, it's not like they're part of his crew or anything like that. They might be a group that he would use occasionally, and possibly, that's why, if he is using them in some way, maybe that's why he has Echo, with them. Or it could be that, Echo's trying to prove herself to her father or something along those lines. But yeah, I don't think there's any sort of direct connection between them and Kingpin, at least not that I remember.
Okay, and Priscilla didn't mention that there is a direct connection between Echo and Kingpin. In the comics, is there a direct connection between Echo and the Tracksuit Mafia, or is this something where they're just kind of combining different elements from, just the Marvel Comics comic book universe and making these interesting connections just for the series?
I don't recall. Honestly, I don't recall Echo being associated with Tracksuit Mafia. But as I say, it's been years since I read My Life as a Weapon.
Okay. Now, what I do want to confirm, if either of you know this, I think maybe the professor does. Echo in the comics, she starts off as a villain, but then becomes heroic-ish at some point?
No idea. I'm really not that familiar with the character, but I think
okay.
if they're going to give her a Disney Plus series, I can't see them giving a villain a Disney Plus series, Loki notwithstanding.
Well, Agatha's getting her own. I'm just saying.
Agatha is not really a villain.
Agatha's not a villain.
Well, she
the
was
villain of WandaVision was Wanda.
Oh, was Wanda. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, maybe we'll get Mephisto in the Agatha series. I'm just saying. Anyway,
I believe Catherine Hahn has been trolling people with Mephisto references.
She has.
In reference to House of Harkness.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. So we've.
But Jeff, you've already established that Jack is Mephisto. So.
I know he is Mephisto. He does look Mephisto-ish. I'm just saying, in the right light. Okay. Was there anything that I missed? A tiny little moment that either of you would like to chat about? Even a throwaway line that might be important before we head into the MVP?
We talked last episode about, we talked at the beginning of this episode about the dynamic between Clint and Kate, and just every opportunity that Kate has to be annoying, she's taking. Like sending in the texts, calling him constantly, and every time he has to shoot it down, it's like when they're walking along the street. I know you have to stand on this side. Why? I can only hear you on this side. Not that I want to, I have to. And saying, you have my number now. If you call me, I'll delete it and I'll throw it away. Basically, he's doing everything to shut her down, and she's still just, this bubbly, enthusiastic, oh my God, I'm, with my hero. And again, just the dynamic of them is so consistent, but, is just continually delightful. And even when she comes crashing down, it's just, his reaction of, and she comes crashing down, he's still staring up at the hole in the ceiling as if he's staring at the heavens going, why is this happening to me?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I like it. Such a fun episode. Such a light and fun episode. Once again, something that I believe I mentioned in the previous podcast, something I did not expect from the Hawkeye series. Just so much fun. So now it's time for the MVP. Oh wait, Priscilla?
Did we talk about the cop who called Kate Bishop?
Oh no, we did not. Let's talk about it. So it seems as if the officer is calling to get her statement, it seems, on her apartment burning down, and she kind of blows him off by saying, I'm at work, and he tells her, you got to come in the morning. The professor made an interesting sort of correlation with how many days are left until Christmas, with how many episodes the series has. Now that he said it out loud, I'm starting to think about it. We are getting a day kind of each episode. Like we went from morning to night, or actually technically we went from night to night the next night over this episode. So we might actually be getting sort of like a 24-hour-ish time frame for each episode. So I would assume in the next episode we're going to have to see where that goes. Did you have a theory about that, Priscilla? What it can mean?
I feel like he suspects that she's the Ronin.
Oh, good grief. That's a jump that I like. Whoa.
Because he's already like talking about how like, were you there like with the death of like Armand Duquesne and stuff like that? Like he was already like questioning her about things like that, and the only person that they saw that left was the Ronin with the sword. So, and they had already seen like at the party the Ronin leave with the dog too. So I think he's putting two and two together, and he thinks that she's the Ronin.
Okay. Professor, anything to add? Did you make that jump like Priscilla did? Are you worried for Kate?
I would be surprised if the police officer has made that leap. I don't think they have enough evidence to go on to make that leap. And I think if he thought she was the Ronin, they wouldn't be asking her to come in and saying, oh, it's okay, you can do it tomorrow. They'd be showing up with squad cars surrounding her and pointing guns at her.
That's
Okay.
true.
Yeah, that is true. I'm intrigued. We'll see what happens. I mean, clearly we're going to have to see this. Even if it was a tiny little thing that we sort of overlooked until Priscilla mentioned it. But clearly we will be following up on that, I would assume, in the next episode. All right, so it's MVP time. State which character impressed you throughout the episode and why. Once a character has been chosen, they cannot be selected again, so choose wisely. Professor, who's your MVP and why?
Actually, I'd like to request to go third because the two most obvious choices, I don't want to spoil my choice, but if the two most obvious choices are taken before I get to go, then I can take my less obvious off-the-wall choice.
Oh, okay. I love a less obvious off-the-wall choice. Okay, so Priscilla, that means you can go first.
My choice is Grills because I thought he was funny as hell interacting with Clint, and I thought that his reaction time with the ninja sword fighting against Clint in the LARP battle was funny as hell too. So definitely Grills.
Okay. That sounded pretty off the wall, I'm just saying. Okay, so I'm going next, and I will pick Kate, because Haley Steinfeld was fantastic in this episode. She was so much fun. her sheer exuberance over meeting her hero was fantastic. The way that she wanted to be so involved. Like, she was dying to be involved in everything Clint was doing was just delightful. It was, it's like the next gen hero, meeting their idol and, just trying to soak up as much knowledge and experience as possible. And it was fantastic. Professor, we're hella intrigued about your off-the-wall MVP, so it is now your turn.
Well, it's a bit less off the wall after Priscilla's choice, but I'm giving it to the woman at the LARPing thing, the one with the braids. My God, she was just so great. She knew exactly who Clint was. She's an Avenger, but hey, you know what? You got to follow the rules. These people, this is their fun. And she just, and then to bring her back, so that she was there, the one offering him the bottle that he passed up. And I just thought she was having so much fun.
Very good choice. That was off the wall in a spectacular.
She didn't even get a name, I don't think. I think, she was just, but
LARP lady.
I was watching with the, LARP lady, but I think she was just, a woman with pigtails was the only thing she got in the captioning. Aww. But boy, she was just so great. And honestly, when you're looking for, villains who have thwarted Clint, she managed to do it.
She should have offered the damn potion. I'm just saying. Yes. Okay. Fantastic choices, even if one was really off the wall. I think that was more off the wall than girls. I'm just saying. Now it's time to rate the episode. How would you rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10 arrows? The point system is allowed, and if you found the episode exceptional, deserving more than a 10, you may grant it the coveted golden quiver. So let's go in the reverse order. So that means, Professor, you go first.
You know what? I was going to give it 9.5, same as I gave the first episode, but the LARPing scene, that's got to bump it up to 10 arrows.
Oh, wow. All right. We got a solid 10 from the Professor. Priscilla, what about you?
I'm going to give it a 9.5. It bumped it up. The LARPing scene definitely gave it like the edge to bump it up. I'm going to take the 0.5 points off just because for anyone who doesn't know who Echo is, that scene at the end was just kind of really anticlimactic. I remember seeing it with my boyfriend, and my boyfriend was like, that's how they ended it? Who the hell is that? Why am I so excited? I had to actually explain to him that's Echo, because I was following the news about it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 9.5.
All right, 9.5, a 10. I'll give it a 9.5 as well. Another solid hour of television. Yeah, I'm on the hype train with Hawkeye now. I can't wait to see what happens next. Such a fun episode. I'm sucked into the mystery and the intrigue of it all. So on that note, join us next time for a brand new installment of the Avengers Initiative, Hawkeye. Here's our announcer to remind you on how you can interact with us.
Follow Poppy Chulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chulo Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychuloradio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chulo Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychuloradio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chulo Radio programs by visiting poppychuloradio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Just search for The Avengers Initiative, Hawkeye, and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. My co-hosts, please wish the listeners a good night, starting off with the Professor.
Some people have called me the world's greatest podcaster.
Okay. Yes, they have. I believe you. And Priscilla.
I can't top that. Good night, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in. Download new episodes of the Avengers Initiative, Hawkeye, every Wednesday via Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and the Poppy Chulo Radio archives. Good night.